Hey guys, what is going on? This is Anthony or Tony in Florida, and today I have a very special video for you guys. So this is going to be the beginning of a new video series that I'm going to be doing called When Toys Were Good. This is going to focus on toys of the 2000s, kind of like when innovation really kind of peaked when it comes to children's toys or robotics. And we're going to be diving into a whole bunch of different types of robots, toys, stuff like that. Because the 2000s was a really fun time. It was, I think, kind of like the pinnacle of innovation, creativity, when it came to doing things kind of like outside the norm. We had robotic dogs, we had, robotic humanoids, we had monkey heads, we had Elvis heads, we had a tooth fairy that looked like a fat Italian guy. I don't know. It was a lot of different crazy things that happened back in the 2000s that, we really don't see much of today. So the first robot I really kind of wanted to get into or take a little deeper dive into was the Robosapien version 2. Now, Robosapien V2 is what it was kind of advertised as, or Robosapien RS2, is a humanoid robot. It stands about 23 inches tall. So the original Robosapien was about 12 inches. Version 2 is about 23 inches, so it's double the size. It was also double the cost. When this came out, this kind of retailed for about $249 US or 299 pounds in the UK or 299 Australian dollars when it came out over in other regions as well. Robosapien V2 came in, I believe, 3 different languages. Came in English, Spanish, and French. There could have been other languages, potentially Japanese, Chinese, Mandarin. I'm not 100% certain. Now, what's really crazy about these robots is there's so many different variants of them. We have the red one right here. This was exclusive to Radio Shack. These were on sale there from the very beginning. They had silver ones, white ones, black ones, blue ones, golden ones, which were bronze. A whole bunch of different colors. It was pretty incredible. Now, this one right here is very special to me because this is actually the one I got growing up. Now, it's not the exact same one. That one's being repaired currently, so it's all taken apart into pieces. But this is a Radio Shack Robosapien V2. Now, what's really cool about this robot from back in the day is just how kind of cool it was to control it, the movements, everything about it. So, with Robosapien V2, there was about over 50 kind of programs or functions that you could do with this robot.
Self-diagnostic initiated. I am Wowie Robotics Model RS-V2. Understood.
So, with Robosapien V2...
Vision shut down. Sonic sensors shut down.
I'm going to turn those off so it doesn't interrupt me when I'm talking. But anyways, kind of when this robot came out, it had a whole bunch of different functions. You could have it do a little dance, so I'll have it do its little dance demo right now. So, I don't know what that little click was. I don't know if you guys heard that, but... Alright, so that was kind of like a little dance demo of Robosapien V2. So right now I'm actually going to have it do its secondary demo as well. So this is a cool demo where it'll actually get down, and it'll actually go down to the floor. Just like that. It's going to kind of sit upwards. And this was actually a really cool selling point to me back in the day, because with that, if the batteries are low, it will fall over. Pretty cool, right? So, that was kind of like a selling point to me back in the day. Again, 2005, I was... Gosh, how old was I? I was 8 years old in 2005, So obviously I didn't have the money for this. It was kind of like, oh, I'm going to beg my parents to get it for me. But I just thought that was so cool how it was able to sit down, get back up without breaking. I actually got one of these ones back in the day too. This is a mini Robosapien V2. And this one's a lot simpler. This one retailed for about $20. You could power it on and it would actually kind of like move, you know. That was pretty much all it could do, you know. It had red eyes as opposed to the blue eyes of the Robosapien V2 full size. I don't know why they did that. In some of the promotional Robosapien V2 units, they had red eyes. And they switched to blue, I guess, to make it seem more friendly because, you know, robot with red eyes looks evil. I don't know. But they kept the red eyes in the mini ones. Maybe it was more cost efficient? I don't know. My buddy Kevin, or Zoro635, does little LED mod changes where he changes the light, the eyes on these, so I check him out if you're interested in doing that. But yeah, it's really cool. You know, it's very articulate, so you can actually move the arms around, and you can just kind of pose it the way you like. I actually had one of these way before I got the full-size version, because again, these were $20, so I could use my allowance and go pick up one. And really for $20, this was a really cool deal. I mean, what can you get in 2025 for $20? Like some, I don't know, playing cards? There's just not a lot of stuff anymore. I mean, like, look at those things, what are they called, Labubus? Like, it's just a puppet or whatever. They retail for like $50 and people are reselling them for $300. A little bit different than these, I guess, but still, it's just like, what's coming out nowadays that's kind of like this innovative? Not really anything. Most of the toys of, you know, today are, you know, like app-based, you know, toys, or maybe they're not even a physical toy at all. Maybe it's just an app you download and the kids play, you know. It's kind of like giving in this generation of what they call iPad kids, where they're just so reliant on the screen. They're not really tinkering or doing anything with these, for example.
High five! Too slow!
Yeah, so, you know, that was like one of the cool things about this robot, really, is like, just like kind of interest that it sparked. Because, you know, you buy this robot, you try it out, you start tinkering with it, who knows, maybe you start getting into robotics, maybe you start getting into like mechanical engineering, checking out motors, wires, stuff like that. There was also a really huge hacking community of these robots back in the day. You know, there were V2s that had like paint jobs done, LEDs added. There was another one that made a really big deal where they had a little flamethrower coming out of it. I don't know how they did that. I think that was really cool. I would do that with this one if the original person could show me how to do it. But, you know, they're just really kind of cool robots, you know. You were able to just kind of have them do anything you wanted them to do. You know, you could have it, oh, I don't know.
Ouch! Please don't press that button.
Now, here's the thing. I don't have like the best memory of everything that this thing could do, but there's over 50 kind of programs that it was able to do. And, you know, it could keep someone entertained for hours. Now, the battery life on these is probably, I would say, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 to 6 hours, you know. And that's like giving it on the higher end, especially nowadays with more densely packed lithium batteries. These ones, they eat up batteries. So it takes 3 AAAs, 6 D-cell, and 4 AAAs for the feet. So the 4 AAAs are actually what's powering the camera here and the eyes. The D batteries are powering all the motors and everything. So let's just say if it says my brain batteries are low, that means the AAAs are dead. If it starts going slower, then that means the motor, the D batteries are dead. You know, a lot of the times people got these back in the days, they tried them out once, you know, they got the batteries, they played with them, and they kind of put in their closet. And a lot of the times they kind of sat there. I'm not sure if you guys see my last video of the V2s. I think it was like a white V2 that was seriously corroded. But that's kind of what happens with these, and it actually happens to a lot of them, more than you'd think, where they just completely corrode the insides of the feet, and you know, it basically makes it unusable unless you know how to repair it. So, you know, this one had corroded feet, so I actually repaired it myself. I rewired it, because that's also another really big thing about this particular robot. The wires and the insides of most of them would go bad. The only ones that don't go bad are if you see a non-discolored white version, more likely it has good wires, or if you see a black unit, those usually have good wires. There are some in other regions, like the UK, where mostly of the times the wires are good, they're fine. But specifically in the US and Canada, there are a lot of V2s with a wiring issue. If in case you do get one with a wiring issue, do not put batteries in it. You will more than likely cause a fire inside the actual robot itself. I would definitely recommend doing a rewire service. So I offer a rewiring service. It's about $120. My buddy Kevin does a rewiring service as well. So if you want to contact us, we can definitely get these kind of like up and running for you. But yeah, you know, these kind of sparked a lot of innovation with a lot of people.
Run for your life!
So these robots were actually invented by Mark Tilden. He wanted to create a robot that was like a bipedal robot, so it could actually walk on two legs, kind of like a human. And he actually kind of wanted to design these robots kind of simulating the human anatomy, where there wasn't much coding involved with the robot itself. It was more of like programming the board and then having like, you know, springs and motors on the inside to like kind of simulate human movement. It's actually really kind of ingenious. Makes it really kind of easy to work on, and you know, it actually kind of makes it just, you know, more fun, more, I would say, analog is the word, more mechanical, where you could actually just kind of, you know, enjoy like working, tinkering with it versus spending a whole bunch of time coding into it just for it to do specific functions. I don't know. I just think that these robots are really cool. You know, there's a really big like collecting community inside of these two, where they kind of, you know, increased in value over time. So when I actually got my V2, I'm talking in regards of a retail, it was $249. Okay. So fast forward to like 2013, 2014, you were actually pretty much able to buy these anywhere from $30 to $100. Doesn't matter what color that was kind of like the going rate for them. Nowadays, they're more expensive because they're harder to find, parts are breaking down on them, and you know, they're just becoming more and more scarce every year. This was actually a surprisingly nice like condition V2. And I didn't buy it new. I got it used. I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of like $200 for it. And I really do enjoy it. It's a nice one. You know, it's really cool. But I have my own personal V2s. This is one that I just kind of wanted to rewire and then put back into the market. So, you know, I'm selling this one for about $350 right now. Now, the going rate for V2s really kind of depends. I mean, depends on condition, depends on the color, if it needs rewiring, the whole 9 yards. So with this particular V2, you know, it's rewired. I put a little bit of work into it. I'm not trying to make a huge profit on it. I'm just trying to get someone else to enjoy it. I have it in the description if you're interested in picking it up. But yeah, the red V2s typically go between $150 to $300, depending on if they're rewired and the condition. If they're really beat up and discolored, you could see like $100 for them. There's also the white V2s. Now, those, they probably go for, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like, if they're rewired or, you know, non-discolored, they go for like $300 to $400, depending on condition. New ones I'm seeing for about $500 to $600. I've seen one red new for about $1,200, but that's too steep for this one, in my opinion. I think these are more worth, you know, like $600-700 for a brand new one. But again, I can't control the pricing. You also have black V2s. Those are.
High five! Too slow!
So you also have some black V2s. Those typically go for around $300 to $400, depending on condition. The bronze V2s typically about, you know, $300 to $400 again, depending on if they're rewired or not. More than likely, they're not going to be rewired because they are just ones with prone to bad wiring. Then you also got like the blue V2s, the sharper image silver V2s. Those ones typically are on average about, you know, the sharper images are kind of lower on the value. Non-rewired, they're about $100 to $120. Rewired, they're about $350 to $400. You know.
Fight my diode, human.
And with the other V2s too, I mean, you know, some of the other ones are like the blues. Those ones are a little bit harder to find. I actually don't really know what company sold the blues. I believe it was Best Buy. I'm like 90% sure it was Best Buy. Those ones go for typically around 180 to 200 non-rewired, and then about 350 to 450 for rewired. So they're kind of up there. They're a little bit harder to find than the other ones, but it's just kind of like the gist of it. Now, there are some other things with these V2s that I thought were pretty cool. So, like,
Vision activated.
I'll reintroduce the vision. So one really cool thing about Robosapien V2 as well was it came with a bowling ball and bowling pins. Now, my lighting isn't really good in this room right now, according to this V2's camera, so it doesn't recognize it, but what it would do is if you put this in front of it, it would say, "My ball, let's play." You grab the ball and actually look for the bowling pins, and when it sees the bowling pins, it would actually throw it and try to actually hit them. It was pretty cool, and it actually worked a good amount of the times. Now, really kind of like what I wanted to get at with this video was these V2s, I really feel like they should come back. Like with a lot of the other kind of like robots and toys I want to show you guys in future videos. I feel like there's a place for these in, you know, pretty much any kind of household that has kids that really kind of want to learn about robotics. There are other companies that are doing robots nowadays, like Robosapien and a few others, and they're actually doing a really good job with producing the robots now. There's something about the V2s, the Robosapiens, all those kind of robots they really sparked an interest in me when it comes to like kind of like looking into doing, you know, kind of like mechanical maintenance. And I feel like you really don't get that same innovation that you do with Robosapiens, because Robosapiens are essentially a compilation of servo motors and coding, which is like, you know, fine, but you know, you really don't get to appreciate kind of like what these robots are, you know. So I feel like that there could be, I feel like there's definitely a market for these robots. Will we ever create them again? Probably not. I remember I spoke with the CEO at the time. I was kind of talking about Robosapien V2 and if he would consider re-releasing it. And the whole kind of problem with them is the cost. Now, you know, he said that re-releasing V2 would be extremely expensive, and they just aren't in that space to release it anymore. Nowadays, again, they're kind of releasing like app-based toys and stuff like that, and they're not really robotic anymore. They're more like just, you know, little kitty toys, you know, like My Little Pony and stuff like that. I really don't pay attention to them anymore. So, you know, there's kind of like this market of V2s that are, you know, there's this market of V2s now where they're getting older. These are about 20 years old now this year, and they're going to be more and more breaking down. I just really wish that there was a way to re-release these. Speaking of releases, so we have the Robosapien V2. Again, it came in white, silver, black, blue, red, and bronze. So it came out in 6 colors. And there are some elusive Robosapien V2s in the market as well. There is a promotional photo of like a pink one, an orange one, and a green one. I've seen the orange one inside of a museum in Spain. I don't know the name of it on the tip of my head. One of my friends actually owns a turquoise V2. I don't know his YouTube channel on top of my head. I don't know if he wants his name on the video, so I'm not going to say it. But if you just look up turquoise V2, his video will pop up. And then there's also the green Robosapien V2. Now this one's a very kind of elusive V2 because this is a very kind of elusive V2 because no one has actually made a video on it. No one has actually kind of really even seen it in person. There's been very few sightings of it. There was one listing that was like a Photoshop from like 2010 that looked really fake. They were selling it for like $100, but it was on a scam website. There was another one where they posted it on Instagram. It was a more clear photo of it. And, you know, when me and my other robot friends at the time, Kevin, Zora635, or Arbiter's Honor, we kind of looked at them, we saw those. We were like, is that real or is that photoshopped? And kind of like came to the conclusion it was real because there was a promo photo with a green V2 in it. Now, I haven't seen a green V2 pretty much ever for sale until recently. Now, let me show you something really cool that I have. So guys, what I have with me right here is probably the first time these were ever shown in a YouTube video. Together, at least, and one of them probably for the first time ever. But we have the turquoise and we have the green Robosapien V2. Now, as you can see, these come in a pretty unique box. They come in a white box. You know, it still shows pretty much everything that you have seen with a Robosapien V2. You know, the text, the fusion of technology and personality. You know, it has all the, Robosapien V2 has humanoid body movement. V2 has advanced sensory features, personality. And what's really cool too is it actually has a semi-different look on the box itself. So this isn't the official one that they used for production. This was more of like a promo photo of Robosapien V2. And as you can see here, this does not have a serial number or a product number. So this is actually a prototype pre-release. So this is really just kind of crazy that this is in my collection now. And I don't even know if I can consider these color variants of V2 because, you have like, white, red, blue, bronze, black, silver. You have those ones. And then you have turquoise, green, orange, and pink, but those ones were never officially released. But it's just really cool that someone like me was able to acquire these two. So actually how I got these robots was a pretty cool story. So the turquoise actually appeared up on eBay. My buddy was Kevin or Zora635 saw it and he sent me a message on it. He's like, hey, you should get this. So I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I definitely need to get it. I sent an offer and he accepted the offer. And I just kind of like talked with him a little bit about it because I was saying like, how did you acquire this? And, I talked with him a little bit and turns out the guy was actually Mark Tilden's cousin. His name is John Hopkins. I'm sure he doesn't mind me using his name because he has a lot of different work he's done. He's a cinematographer, so he's done a lot of kind of like projects, documentaries. One of the documentaries I'm actually trying to get from him right now, it's called Robosapiens. It's a documentary he did with Mark Tilden back in the early 2000s, so I feel like that'll be really kind of exciting to check out once he actually gets that to me. I'll definitely have it uploaded on the YouTube channel so other people can enjoy it. But yeah, we were kind of talking about these and showing like, talking about how innovative they were. Robosapien V2, Roboraptor, Robopet, like all those kind of robots, mechanical toys. And he was telling me how he actually had more of the robots in his collection. I'm like, well, what do you have? And he was telling me how he had he had all the robots essentially. But the ones that really kind of like stood out, like the unique ones in his collection were like, the turquoise, the green V2, a red Roboraptor, and I'm like, whoa, you have a green V2? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, you interested in selling that one? And long and behold, we came up with a number that worked best for both of us. It was a pretty penny. It was a pretty penny. But now I can literally say that I have the green V2 and the turquoise in my collection. And this is something where I can't really put a value on them. I've had people trying to offer me for the two of them. I actually had someone offer me today, even before I posted this video. So someone in my inner circle must have gotten out, said some information to people, I don't know. But I had one collector out of France, and he literally offered me, gosh, I don't even really want to say it on camera, but he offered me $6,000 for the two of them if I shipped them over to France. And I'm like, no, I can't. This is something where these will never come into my collection again. I consider these essentially museum pieces because they're just so unique, so cool, but I wish there was more I could show you on them. I wish I could open them up, power them on, show you like kind of like the features on them, because these are prototype units. There's the firmware in these, it's probably the same as in my like prototype Robosapien V2 video I did like 10 years ago. They probably have the same boards in there. They probably speak English, I don't know. More than likely because the boxes are in English. But that's one of the things, is like, I can't open these up, because if I do, it kind of like defeats the whole purpose of how they are right now. And then my friend who has the turquoise V2, the other one, yeah, he hasn't opened his up for the same general purpose. And it's really just kind of like amazing how these robots are. And guys, I don't think I've ever mentioned this in any of my past videos or current videos, but the green Robosapien V2, this was probably my favorite color besides the red. And I was searching for this one for so long, like probably on the cusp of over 10 years I was searching for this one. And it's just such a nice feeling that I was able to get this one, and it's real. It's pretty crazy because even now, even like today, there's still colors coming out that I'm like, wait a minute, they released that color? For instance, I bought a mini black Roboraptor off of eBay, and I was just like, how did this even exist? And I never knew about it. It's crazy. It's really crazy about how many different variants there were. I also picked up a miniature green chrome Robosapien, and again, those are ridiculously rare that you just don't see them anywhere. It's insane. Now, what I want to do down the line personally with these robots, because again, I believe that these are, again, superior to pretty much any kind of entertainment that you can get for like toys, stuff like that. I really would love to just kind of collect these and have like a, kind of like a place where people can look at them, kind of like an exhibit, I guess you could say. So I need to start collecting more of these new in-box ones. Currently, I have these two. I'm looking at a red, but it's again very expensive. I'm probably not going to get it anytime soon. I have a white one that's coming on the way. So, I need to find a blue, I need to find black, bronze. I just need to find those colors. So, what I want to ask to some of my fellow collectors out there is, if you have a new in-box V2, if you're interested in selling it, would you please let me know? And if you're, if we can come up with a number, I would totally love to have it and kind of put it into my collection where one day I can let people just kind of check them out and, see when toys were really great. Anyways, guys, that was pretty much the video I wanted to make for you guys. I didn't go into too technical specifics with these robots, with V2, but this is just kind of like a little refresher video, put me back into the spin of things. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any other video suggestion ideas, or if there's another kind of like robot you want me to cover, I can definitely do that. I have another few videos that I'm thinking of kind of on the way right now. And yeah, I can't wait to share them with you guys. Anyways, guys, this is Anthony or Tony in Florida, and I will be signing off. Have a good one.